Hi ladies, welcome to Choose Wiser. This is Kristi here, and we're continuing with our series where we're celebrating women who are finding their place in creating healthier homes and a healthier world. And today we have with us Anne Brock from Flour Sack Mama. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome to, and finally we are finally able to play together. It seems a long time that we've been communicating back and forth, but it's fun to be face to face.
Yes.
So why don't you share with me and our viewers from Choose Wiser Nation about Flour Sack Mama?
My inspiration really was my grandmother, and my grandmother used flour sack or feed sack fabric, that pretty cotton fabric, and was frugal and creative, made quilts and made clothing, made little handmade dresses for my mom and my aunt. And I was inspired by how she was frugal, she was creative, green. She did other things like recycling and gardening and so on, even though she didn't use those terms. And I was fascinated by how we can carry on the best of Grandma's traditions, but improve on what we know better. So that was the original inspiration for the Flour Sack Mama blog.
So what do you do on Flour Sack Mama?
On the Flour Sack Mama blog, we really do try to carry on the best of Grandma's traditions while we improve on what we know better. And so we share original stories, feature stories, we share simple living stories, and we share the latest information about things that are green, that are really for mainstream average families, things that make sense. And we share some of the latest environmental health news and green news as well.
Now you also have another passion, so that's clean couponing, right?
Yes, clean couponing really became a companion blog for the Flour Sack Mama blog. And the reason is I do a lot of storytelling with the Flour Sack Mama blog. I do a lot of interviewing. I interview scientists and medical experts and get really deep into issues with that. And I noticed that particularly online, people are looking for a quick resource that works for their everyday lives. And they like the idea of coupons, of deals, of ways to stretch a dollar. And I wanted to sort of bring those worlds together in a really convenient way. And so we started the Clean Couponing blog as well. And one of the fun things we do is now monthly we host a Clean Couponing Twitter party. It's co-hosted by both Clean Couponing and the Flour Sack Mama blog. Sometimes we bring in expert speakers. We join in with nonprofits that have great information to share, and then sometimes have some different sponsorships that make it fun, have some giveaways and things like that. It's a really fun way to reach out and share with people all over.
Wonderful. Now you mentioned the grandma and how she was frugal and green in her own way. So were you raised environmentally aware, like you mentioned with the recycling, but about cleaning products, personal care products? Were you raised that way, or is this a learning curve for you?
You know, when you say environmentally aware, that's a new term for me as an adult. I think for a lot of people who grew up in my generation. And what I did grow up in, I grew up on a farm in the Ozarks, so I grew up with an understanding and appreciation for simple living, farming. I grew up on a farm, working farm, with two parents working very, very hard on there. And in an area where everybody gardened, everybody was sort of frugal and did things like preserving food and cooking at home and things like that, learned how to sew in 4-H clubs. So that was an influence for me. Now, it has been a learning curve because there have been reasons that as we learn about environmental health and healthy food and the reasons we need to be more careful about our own health, I've been relearning things like gardening through organic gardening and being able to share about that. So it's been really great to share both some of the simple living things with my daughters, but also the new ways of doing things.
I can tell you're just passionate about this, and I love this about you. For maybe 6 years now, have woken up every single morning and am so excited to sit down and write or plan or create or whatever kind of fun I'm planning out for Choose Wiser Nation. And then occasionally at nighttime, I can lay down to bed, and most days I'm feeling great, but sometimes there's these little voices that are going in there and saying, what are you doing this for? Are you just playing dress up? How are you going to make a living? And these little, kind of eating at me. Do you feel any of these, or is this just all me?
I think everybody does, and particularly those of us that maybe got into a full-time mom situation, which is wonderful. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I've loved the time that I've been able to spend at home with my daughters, but getting back from being full-time in the newsroom and kind of leaving that identity behind, then being the full-time mom, getting back into it, yes, it's easy to have self-doubt. And there are times, particularly when we're dealing with this whole new media world, that not everybody gets it. And then when you deal with the niche really information that we're both dealing with, which is about environmental health. Again, not everybody gets it. That's okay. That's why I think a lot of us are feeling called to communicate about these things. The most particular inspiration that it just happened, it's just one of those life things that happens, we all have these life stories, is I lost my mom to cancer. And it was, of course, devastating, as it is for every family. And I remember the year that she passed away. And I remember, trying to make sense of things and finding the statistic that 500,000 people, 500,000 people every year die from cancer. And 3 times that many are diagnosed with cancer. That's just absolutely unacceptable, no matter how you look at it. And so I hope that I can honor her in ways that I can communicate with people now. And as you know, the good thing is we have more survivors and we have more innovation and solutions out there. But this information about prevention is critical. And it just wasn't there 20 years ago, 40 years ago. And we have to keep telling it.
So it sounds like not only do you enjoy it, but you almost have to pursue this.
It feels like it. I mean, and of course, parenting's another angle to that. I mean, again, you can't help if you bring a child into the world, but care about all these choices as you talk about that you make. And the idea that, again, we didn't always have some of this information decades ago, but now we have more information, and we need to find ways to implement that, and hopefully make a healthier future for them.
It seems like being a blogger is like being an entrepreneur, but you came from a world where you were a TV producer? How did that transition?
I really feel called to work in this niche. I feel called to focus on these areas that you don't necessarily hear about in mainstream media. There's information that needs to be told, and being mindful of the sources for that, again, it needs to be shared.
This world of bloggers is such a wonderful time for women in particular, I think, because it creates, like I said, like a new type of an entrepreneurship, whether it's for hobby or whether it's for professional, you can weave it in and out of your other hats and the other parts of your life. Now, I've watched you over the years, and you are a go-getter, and you're out there really going for this, becoming a presence on the internet. Can you share with me and Choose Wiser Nation what it's like to be a blogger and maybe some advice for people who are contemplating this?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, first, don't quit your day job if you're looking to make a full-time living, because it's like everything, it's harder than it looks. And there are a lot of skills involved. We are in a really interesting time where there is easy accessibility with the technology that's available. And of course, it's a wonderful thing. So information sharing is available for everybody. Be really mindful of your sources if you decide to share information, because once you take on that responsibility, it is a responsibility. And people are going to possibly look at that information and make some really important choices in their life. Of course, we never give advice, or we don't give medical advice or what have you, but still be mindful of your choices, even as a reporter, if you will. Cite your sources. Be able to clearly tell people where you're getting that information. And then if you want to be an advocate, I am comfortable with the concept of advocacy journalism, and I think we're at a time when that has to happen. Then I'm okay with that, but you need to be upfront about that. If you're advocating for things like clean air, clean food, clean water, don't be ashamed to say that. It's okay to speak up. And so I would just say, and also find your own voice, which is this whole wonderful theme that you have going. I think that's a really important thing. We're at a time when everybody has something wonderful they can say and share, and find a way to do it in your own unique way.
That is something that you have done from the very beginning, and I have this little quote that I pulled off your website that I just adore. And so I'm going to read it out loud for our viewers as well. But it says, "I am the child of full-time family farmers, the daughter of an extraordinary woman who died too soon from cancer, the wife of a man who still doesn't get it if I spend more on organic produce, the mother of children who deserve a healthy start in life just like yours do. And while I try to respect all faiths, mine happens to be Christianity." And I love that because it reveals all these different facets of you, that you're multidimensional, and you're not afraid to speak up about the pieces of your life that are important to you. How do you feel that this resonates with readers when they come across things, and you're talking about your husband that doesn't necessarily understand, not understanding exactly some of our choices that we make, or bringing up your religion? How does this bring in your readers?
Wow. First of all, I hope that everybody understands it's a no judgment zone. When you come to the blog and you're sharing information, or maybe we're interacting in some way, or we're having a Twitter party and you're interacting, please know that it's a no judgment zone. Nobody's perfect. Even if we're writing about these ideal foods that we'd all like to eat, or this ideal product that we have a choice to maybe get, understand that nobody has it perfect. And I'm not trying, I have never purported to be perfect or be an expert at anything. I'm just trying to gather that information and share it, do the best I can, just like you are. And I think it's really important that we remember we are human in all of this, where we're trying to live better. And as far as faith, I always said I would never write about faith, but it just is inescapable. I happen to be Christian, and I do feel that sometimes we're just called to help each other and share good news in unique ways. So hopefully people will understand that wherever they are, they're welcome, and I appreciate their support as we share this information.
I love that. I love as you create your own persona and your presence on the website, on the web, that you are who you are. And I think that is going to, even accentuate your journey even more. I think it's wonderful.
And I want to thank you for coming here today and playing with me here, talking about our journeys and going forth and together linking arms, you and I, and making a better world for everyone.
Well, thank you so much. I've loved you, I've watched you, and I appreciate your book, and I appreciate your message and your mentoring. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And for everyone out there, don't worry. I'm taking all of Anne's information, her website, everywhere you can follow her at, so you can celebrate and support her journey. And I'm going to post that down below on the blog as well. So until next time, enjoy the journey.